The Skyline Trail in Jasper National Park is a popular hike in the Canadian Rockies, known for its breathtaking views of the surrounding mountains and valleys. It's a challenging but rewarding hike that takes you through some of the most beautiful landscapes in the park. Whether you're an experienced hiker or just looking for a new outdoor adventure, the Skyline Trail is definitely worth considering. But there are a few ways to do this hike, and one of them is way better than the others. But which is it? Stick around and I'll tell you which. This is the trail underfoot. My wife and I tackled this hike in the summer of 2022. We had truly outstanding weather at the beginning of August. The trail begins from just beside the main parking lot at Maligne Lake and ends at the North Skyline Signal Mountain Trailhead parking lot just outside the town of Jasper. If you have two cars, it's not an issue leaving one at either end of the trail, but if you have only one, like we did, there's a convenient shuttle service. It's run by Maligne Valley Adventure, and it will shuttle you from the Signal Mountain Trailhead to Maligne Lake, and it costs about $35. It's not a very big parking lot, so I'd play it safe and get there fairly early. The only downside is that the shuttle arrives at Maligne Lake at about 10 a.m., which is actually a pretty late start to the day. So you could also consider taking a cab, but that'll cost you a little bit more. If there's a few more of you though, you can split the cost out and it's probably a better way to go. The hike debuts with a long and frankly kind of boring climb through the forest. We found the first 9 kilometers or so pretty uninspiring, so don't despair if the first few hours leave you wanting a little bit more. But once you rise above the tree line, the majesty of the skyline really comes into focus. The trail rambles through alpine meadow and across wonderfully tame bubbling streams. You'll pass by several backcountry campgrounds along the way, including Evelyn Creek, Little Shovel, Snowbowl. They're all reasonable places to spend the night, but I would give them all a pass because the Skyline's true gem lies further still. There are 2 main ascents to tackle. The first climb is about 550 meters and it tops out at 2,220 meters next to Trowel Peak, and that's around the 11 kilometer mark. The second is another 300 meter climb to the summit of Shovel Pass at around the 18 kilometer mark. But the scenery you're treated to along the way easily masks even the most weary legs. At the beginning of August, we were even treated to alpine valleys full of yellow wildflowers. It was really like a sea of color set against these towering snow-covered peaks. It was honestly outstanding. From Shovel Pass, you begin a slow descent into the rocky, then tree-filled valley below. That was the last leg of our journey on day 1. In total, you're looking at about 21 kilometers on that first day, and a total ascent of about 850 meters. Now, many will stay at the Curator Campground, which is at the base of Shovel Pass, but we ventured a little bit further and took refuge at Shovel Pass Lodge. This, in my opinion, is the only place you should even consider staying when on the Skyline Trail. This is a rustic but full-service lodge. For a modest nightly fee, you get a real bed, you get warm blankets and a private hut, you get a full hot breakfast with fresh coffee, you get all the fixins to build your own lunch to pack out with you, and you get a full hot dinner. There are no showers or plumb toilets or anything like that, but the extremely courteous and friendly staff deliver a thermos full of hot water every morning to help you freshen up. All of these luxuries are actually packed in twice a week by a team of horses. It's all pretty remarkable, actually. Now, a few years ago, I might have scoffed at the idea of going on an epic backcountry hike and being pampered like that. But after experiencing the Shovel Pass Lodge, I've seen the light. It's the only way I'd experience the Skyline Trail. Day 2 begins right off the bat with a steady climb through the switchbacks out of the tree-filled valley, then up through a fascinating cluster of enormous pink boulders, and then to the frigid waters of Curator Lake. It doesn't look like much from this angle, but once you march along its periphery and start the steep ascent to the Notch, it gradually becomes more and more beautiful. Now the Notch. The Notch is a narrow, snow-covered pass nestled between 2 peaks that don't seem to have a name, at least not from what I can tell on the maps. The lodge staff told us that the trail through the Notch actually needs to be rebuilt every year because the glacier sweeps it away every spring. It was hot in August when we were there and there was still lots of snow at the top and it was a bit treacherous, but nothing most hikers honestly can't handle. The view of Curator Lake is stunning from here. The trail then follows the ridge for several kilometers, and this was easily my favorite part of the Skyline Trail. You're treated to absolutely jaw-dropping views on either side with distant but towering mountain ranges to the west and deep valleys and alpine lakes to the east. After about 4.5 kilometers, you'll abandon the ridge and you'll start your descent to Takara Camp in the valley below. It's a lengthy switchback to the valley floor and a long walk through the meadow, but you'll be treated the entire time to the camp's namesake, Mount Takara. The campsite is hidden in the trees, and I remember thinking at the time that there couldn't possibly be more to see, but I was actually blown away by the next several more kilometers, which gave stunning views of Jasper's northern mountain ranges. It's only when you hit that Signal Mountain lookout and follow the fire road down to the Signal Mountain trailhead that things kind of take a turn. The last 7 kilometers are not particularly interesting, although one of the hikers that we passed encountered a moose blocking the path, so I guess there's always a chance encounter with wildlife. The second day was a long one. It was about 27 kilometers, but only about 760 meters total ascent. It was a pretty big 1,700 meter total descent though. Okay, so time for my final conclusions. Is this hike worth it? Yes, absolutely. No question. It's some of the most beautiful landscapes I've experienced in the Canadian Rockies. And as I've already mentioned, I think staying at Shovel Pass Lodge is really the way to go. Yes, it's more expensive, and yes, it'll offend the purest backpackers out there, but damn, is it a nice way to see this trail. But if you do want to be all traditional about it, I would definitely break up the trail into 3 or maybe even 4 days. I would leave as much time as possible for that middle portion. This is really the most beautiful section. I'd love to hear about your experiences along the Skyline Trail, and as ever, please let me know in the comments if there's a hike that should be next on my list. See you next time.